Let's take a caller. Gabriella from Louisiana. Hi, Gabriella. What's on your mind?
I agree with that woman. There are millions and millions and millions of Americans that want Donald Trump to be the president. I cannot believe that no one sees the obvious, that the media is trying to divide Republicans, Trump versus DeSantis. They're just trying to divide us and make us get angry and argue and get us all, chaos.
What about folks? Because it's not just the media this time. It's Republicans, like the Daily Wire.
And Donald Trump
Daily
himself.
Wire's not Rhino, but they're not hugely pro-Trump. But like Daily Wire, Commentary Magazine, New York Post, and so on.
I think they're scared that Trump won't get elected, and so they think DeSantis is a safe bet. He's younger, he's successful in Florida. He doesn't have as much, controversy. But like the other lady said, as soon as DeSantis were to say he was going to be president, want to run for president, the media would attack him even worse. Donald Trump is a warrior. He can withstand the media. He does not care about hurting people's feelings. He speaks the truth. He wants the best for America. There are millions of us that are still on board 100% for Donald Trump.
Well, it's an interesting point she's raising, guys. Thank you for the call, Gabriella. She's basically saying they're going to Trumpify DeSantis. He will be just as evil as Trump in 2 seconds, thanks to the media. And so where is the real argument for moving on from Trump?
But Gabriella...
Go ahead, Kmele, sorry.
No, I was just going to say that Gabriella is bypassing, I think, the most important point, which is that Donald Trump is the one who's going after Ron DeSantis here. He's been talking.
Well, there is that.
He's been drawing the comparisons. He's been denigrating him and calling him names ineffectually, talking about how well he's doing and how well Ron isn't relative to him, which is absurd, and has generally been hostile to other people. There are indications that he's trying to push him to not get into the race. So to the extent someone is calling for this and trying to contrive a conflict here, I don't know that it's fair to suggest that the media is principally responsible for this. I think Donald Trump is doing this, and it's not as though it's the first time we've seen him go after people who are somewhat affiliated with him.
Yeah, and I would say that what's on the ballot here, if it's between in a primary for 2024, would be, and this is actually the interesting question, it's a MAGA kind of conservatism versus basically what conservatism was in 2015. Not so much Mitt Romney. It has sort of MAGA elements to it, but it is much more in the traditional kind of American Enterprise Institute vein from 10 years ago. And, that's a significant difference. It doesn't matter what those differences are to certain elements of the media that are going to attack Ron DeSantis. But I think the difference is that he will treat it in a different way. And I think, not wage a war against the media. He kind of sort of ignores them and attacks them back when they need to be attacked. So I don't think it'll be that much different. And I think the caller's probably right in that there's going to be elements of the media that are not going to like Ron DeSantis. They already showed that during the COVID stuff. But look, the interesting thing about being in the media is to never have to say sorry. I mean, how many people in the past 2 weeks were promising us the violence today? I don't know if you can hear it, Megyn, but there's massive rioting outside the windows right now because of the election, and people are burning things down, and it's like Venezuela here. No one, and people who say this constantly, fascism, democracy, it never happened, and they just move on. The same thing with DeSantis, Death Santis. There's one mainstream media that I saw that went back and looked at it and said, you know what? He was kind of right about that. And I think it was CBS, but that's not really that common. So there's really not an incentive to not bullshit about this stuff. There's not an incentive to not go out there and attack somebody with about half of the knowledge what you should have, because at the end of the day, who's going to make you say sorry? You just plow ahead, and that's going to happen.
Right, politics means never having to say you're sorry.
That's right.
Let's get another caller. Here's Jerry from New York City. Jerry, how you doing? What's on your mind? Jerry, you there?
I think Jerry's attacked in New York City.
Jerry, take off your mute button.
Subway.
God, he's in the subway.
Last chance, Jerry.
Jerry, call us
Bye,
if you're
Jerry.
okay. Oh, no.
Bye, Jerry. All right, let's go to Franco in California. Franco, you there? What's on your mind?
Yeah. When you guys are talking about, January 6th, bad. The riots, bad. But the Democrats didn't care either way on the riots. Pelosi said, "Oh, people are going to do what they do." Well, this is America, and that was a problem. I saw it as a problem because history is history. You know, good or bad, it is our history, and we have to figure out to go forward, not backwards. And then my partner, you know, we drive together, and we were saying, you know, it's funny, during the middle of the riots, we were going to some of the riot places, you know, and delivering our loads and doing our thing. And we said, you know, what happens if you know, they go to the Capitol and it happens there? What's going to happen then? And then it happened. I was like, oh, I mean, I felt bad, you know, but we said it, and it happened, and look what happened. You know, like, oh my gosh. But Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, they all, and Adam Schiff can all spew anything they want to say, and no consequences are on them. But when Trump says something, I know he was the president, but when he says something, there's consequences. So it doesn't make sense to me. January 6th should have never happened. I totally agree with that. But 2020, everything that happened in 2020, you know, with all the riots, that should have never happened either. It should have been squashed, and it didn't happen. And everybody
these are a lot of good points, but let me ask you our bottom line on it, because we're searching for answers on, you know, Trump supporters. Are you ready to move on from Trump and go with somebody like DeSantis, or you're not ready to move on?
My opinion, I wasn't a voter, and then I voted for Trump for the first time, and then I never watched politics. I never cared. And then after Trump was the president and things were coming out, you know, on a lot of things. I listened to CNN and MSNBC and Fox. I listened to all of them. And then I, you know, did my opinion from there. And then when the facts finally came out on a lot of things, I was like, well, this you know, this one side.
All right, but now we're short on time, Franco. Give me the bottom line. Now, how are you feeling?
Trump or DeSantis, I'm fine with either. I like Trump with his policies. The policies were great, yes, but his legacy could be tarnished. Thanks.
So there you have it, guys. Like, this is one of the reasons why I said recently, I just don't think there's any way to the GOP nomination that requires one to go through Trump. Like, Trump's got to get out of the way for DeSantis to ascend, because he does have diehard supporters, even now, who are just not going, they're not Franco, but like our first caller and Patty, who are Team Trump, period. They're not going to vote for DeSantis. And some wouldn't vote for him if he steamrolled over Trump and Trump said, stay home, like he did in Georgia.
Yeah. This reminded me, and the caller's right, and this is something we've talked about on our podcast a whole hell of a lot. And Michael went to Wisconsin in Kenosha the next day after it was burned to the ground. Our listeners helped the guy rebuild his business, or at least begin to start trying. So it's something that we care about deeply. One of the really bad results on Tuesday was the Democratic governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers, got reelected. That's someone who should have lost. His opponent Lee Michaels, I believe his name is Tim Michaels, was campaigning on COVID in Kenosha over and over again. The man had abdicated his duty in many ways. Michael knows the story, when Kmele, both of them know it better than I do. But the candidate was not a great candidate. Again, super Trumpy, talking about 2020 and the election and all these kind of things. That should have been a gimme for the Republican Party. And it makes me upset that a sitting politician who did a bad job during an important thing in which bad things happen. I want those people to be accountable. I want them to lose. That's as an outsider in the political process, the only joy I get is like voting yes on recall elections in California back when I was there. So I want that person to lose. They didn't. Part of the reason they didn't win was because it was poor candidate selection too tethered to Trump.
I've never been able to compost before. I didn't even know what it was. It was always too complicated, too much work, and sounded like only something some far lefty in San Francisco would do. Wrong. It's actually fun and something your whole family's going to enjoy, thanks to Lomi. Lomi allows you to turn your food scraps into dirt with the push of a button, and it makes you feel like a better person. Lomi is a countertop electric composter that turns scraps into dirt in under 4 hours. There's no smell when it runs. There's no sound, really. It's super quiet. And thanks to Lomi, I now have way less garbage each week. Instead, I turn this waste into nutrient-rich dirt that I can then feed to my plants, completing the life circle. Now I'm composting and creating soil instead of waste. I have a basically limitless supply of dirt from my garden, And if you would like to join me in this endeavor and start making a positive environmental impact, fun for the whole family, or if you just want to make cleanup after dinner that much easier, Lomi is perfect for you. Head to lomi.com/MK. lomi.com/MK. Use the promo code MK to get $50 off your Lomi. That's $50 off when you head to lomi.com/MK and use that promo code MK at checkout. Food waste is gross. Lomi is your solution. With the holidays just around the corner, Lomi will also make the perfect gift for someone on your shopping list. Lomi.com/MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.